It's an At the Office edition of the East Bank Sports Show, serving up the hottest sports takes from right here in Cleveland, Ohio. It's your hosts, Noah, John, and Erik.
It's another beautiful day in the office. Gentlemen, how are we doing? Welcome back to the East Bank Sports Show at the office. John, Erik, tell me about your day. John, go first.
It's going great. My man, he lent me a tie I needed, and I got to see you guys in person for the first time in a little while, so it's good. And we're keeping our streak going of torrential downpour during the podcast today, so I'm glad to see that it's pitch black and raining over my shoulder.
I was about to make the same joke. Erik, how are you doing, man?
Doing well. I'm excited to hear your terrible takes tonight, Noah, as usual, and let's go, baby. Sorry, Noah always wants spicy. He gets the spicy.
But hostile towards me? What did I even do? I'm all happy. I'm ready to go. We're at the office. You did. I did nothing other than anyway. I was gonna make a joke, but let's get into this. First, I want to thank everybody for tuning in live or listening on wherever you download your podcast. Make sure you hit the download button or the subscribe button. It would really help us out a ton in terms of growing our brand. We are the East Bank Sports Show on YouTube and Instagram, and then follow the Fanatical Elves on all the channels. We are on everything, whether that be Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Shorts, I don't know. We're everywhere. Make sure you hit the download button, and we are ready to get into it with 30-second takes. Gentlemen, I want to introduce this episode because this is me being excited for one thing and one thing only. NCAA College Football 25 coming out next week. So I want to talk all things college football, college sports in general, but college football and college football video games today. So to get into it with our 30-second takes, what game are you most excited for What game are you most excited for? In this college football season. John, I'm going to let you go first. 30 seconds on the clock, and go.
All right, I'm going to pack a lot in. I discounted the playoffs because we don't know who's playing. I'm excited for the 12 teams. Ohio State versus Michigan is always the biggest college football game of my year, but there are some good, interesting non-conference and same-conference matchups. You got Bama at Wisconsin in September, Ohio State and Oregon, Washington at Penn State could be a whiteout game. I always love the Army-Navy game, but the number one game I'm looking forward to seeing is Texas versus Georgia in the new SEC matchup.
Love the take. I know I'm letting the timer relap, so I'm going to pull it off for a second. I agree with everything you said. Erik, let's get into it. You ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
And go.
All due respect to John, I'm going to let you finish in a minute, but you're wrong, buddy. If you say anything other than Ohio State and the team up north as a Buckeye fan, that's just a bad take. I'm excited to see us get back to our winning ways. It's the biggest game of the college football season. Hell, if you're just a college football fan in general, you should be excited for that game. I am looking forward to some of those matchups you mentioned, but it is called the game for a reason.
So I'm going to go into this, and I'm starting the timer. What game am I most excited for this college football season, you may ask? Well, the answer is the video game. NCAA College Football 25. I set myself up perfectly to talk about it again. I am so excited. I am going to no-life the hell out of this game. But Erik, even though you came at me hot to start, I agree with you. The only answer is the game. It has to be the game, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Ohio State and Michigan forever and always.
I agree. No shade, Erik. I only went with something different to be different. We know that there's one game every season, and it's Michigan and Ohio State.
100%. Gentlemen, the cover title of this podcast is Who is the Best College Mascot? And, the question when we posed it last week was best and or most iconic. So we're going to keep it best and most iconic. Both answers apply here. So if you have one that is, different for both of those categories, 100% go for it. John, I let you start when it comes to the 30-second take. So Erik, you go ahead and lead us off first.
Yeah, so best mascot. Listen, I didn't want to be a homer with this take because my favorite, the best, the most iconic is my boy Brutus. But I'm going to pick something different so that I'm not just leading with Brutus. Exactly, because he is the man. I mean, hell, his commercials alone are some of the most fun in college football. So what I did from this, though, I eliminated live mascots. And what I mean by live are real animals, real people. I want like some made up kind of character thing. That's what I think of when I think of mascot. And there are some cool ones out there. Don't get me wrong. I'm not a Georgia fan, but the Bulldog, he's kind of dope as hell. I don't get the whole bull thing or horses or any of that. I think that's a little weird. LSU having a tiger, though, like, god damn, that's just raising it to a different level. And he has like a $2 million like place where he lives too. It's incredible. But what I'm gonna go with, and I doubt anybody will expect this or pick this, I'm gonna go with the Stanford tree. All right, hear me out. Just hear me out. Stanford does not have an official mascot. They have an unofficial one. I see Noah Googling real quick.
No, I don't have to. I know what it is. I'm showing a picture is what I'm going to do. Continue with your take.
Pull it up.
Go ahead. No, it's going to take me a minute. Keep talking.
Listen, he's iconic. Yes, Tim, a freaking tree. He gets kicked off campus. He got suspended because he had a Stanford hates fun sign. This guy's iconic. This is like if we were picking any.
This
there he is.
This is iconic to you.
Baby. Look at that. Like I said, Brutus is number one, but the tree's a close second. He's a fun guy. He's just trying to get along and provide oxygen and a little fun with college football. And you know what? I'm here for it. And I had something else to say, but I'm really just having fun with this segment. So I don't know what I was going to say, but Stanford trees, let's go.
I wish it was 30-second takes so I could just mute you as soon as you said Stanford tree.
Let me also say this. He's original. Listen, the Duke Blue Devil, that's boring as fuck. There's a red devil, there's a blue devil, there's a goddamn purple devil probably. That's
though?
That's original, baby. Look at that. Look at that little hat. Look at those eyes, those fierce eyes. I'm sticking with my tree.
John, save us, please.
Dude, that is wild. I usually you and I are very aligned. We went about this. We could not be more different if we tried and talked about it. You went goofy, I went serious. You hate the live mascots. I love the live mascots. So let me lay this on you, and we'll come back to the Stanford tree.
But go on.
That's fair. That's fair. You said you don't get it.
Hey, real quick,
I thought a lot about.
We do need trees to live. I'm just gonna throw that out there.
A tree, Erik must be a tree hugger. That's funny. That's
all
fantastic.
love, but we gotta live.
Go ahead, John.
We need water. We need water to live. I don't know if that makes it a good mascot, but fair point.
One of the four elements.
I thought about the iconic ones too. I thought about Brutus. Obviously, he's my favorite. It's a homer pick. I hate Notre Dame with a passion. I hate Notre Dame almost as much as Michigan, but the leprechaun running around doing push-ups and getting the crowd hype is even fun for a Notre Dame hater. There's some iconic mascots in the SEC. Uga for sure. Smokey at Tennessee, the live dog. The Buffalo at Colorado running out gets the guys going. The Boomer Schooner at OU games. But little side note, a little bit of history on me. I applied to and got appointed to and decided not to go to United States Air Force and Naval Academy. When we talked about the biggest matchups of the year, I didn't go too deep because I didn't want to tease it too much as to where I was headed with this, but they play for the Commander-in-Chief trophy. The president does the coin toss, the pageantry, the national anthem, the flyover, just one of the coolest spectacles in college sports, and that's the half an hour before they actually kick the game off. So in thinking through what's the most iconic, I know we're going back a long way, but Army and Navy used to not only be service academies, but two of the powerhouse football programs in the country. They still put on a hell of a show every year. I have friends who went to the academy and acquaintances who talk about stealing the goat and stealing the mule, and Air Force has this falcon coming down through the mountains. So since I'm not a Coast Guard guy, I'd put the bear later. I'm not an Army guy either. Everybody in my family was Navy who served. So I'm going to say the Navy goat is the most iconic mascot because it's a representation that's almost as old as our country. Everybody at the academies gets behind these things. And at the end of the day, when there are 18, 19, 20, and 21-year-olds who have given up their lives in service for our country, who lay it all on the line for football and for us every day, whatever they're behind, I'm behind. So if I had to name one, yes, I love Brutus too. The most iconic and the best mascot is the Navy goat. Shout out to the Army Mule, the Air Force Falcon, and the Coast Guard Bear as well.
I gotta say, I know I took the fun route and the silly route, but man, pulling the patriotism card, like Adelaide Stevenson would be so disappointed in you. Like, damn, man, you just like here, Trump card.
Yeah, happy 4th of July, and we're right after Memorial Day to everybody out there too. And thanks for your service, everybody who served.
That's fantastic. So I want to read you guys what my notes were for this before I go into my actual take. So, who is the best mascot? Brutus. Duh. Who is the most iconic mascot? Brutus. Duh.
Brutus. Yeah.
But anyway, and then I start to actually write my notes of what I think. So there is one answer for me here. And, we've kind of beat around them, honestly. John, you've already mentioned them. To me, I think the most iconic mascot, even though I have an up and down relationship with this team, I've been a fan. I've hated them. I hate them when they play the Buckeyes because shout out my friend Bento from back home. He grew up a fan of this team. But I think the most iconic mascot in college sports is the Notre Dame Leprechaun. I can't pick anything different. I mean, there's articles about when the Leprechaun changes. It's a girl finally, when we change who's actually going to be the Leprechaun for like the next 4 years or however the tradition goes, whoever fills the role. I just think it is the most iconic. There's the most story behind it. I mean, you talk any of the major colleges throughout the years. I mean, we can talk about Brutus for days because we're Ohio State fans, right? But you can go over to Notre Dame. You can look at those types of schools as well. I mean, those mascots are as big of a deal as anything possible. And I just think if you're talking about who embodies college sports, what, the passion, the having fan engagement, I mean, it's a student. A student gets to be, what I mean? The student gets to be the Leprechaun. So to me, that is the answer. What do you guys think?
Well, I'm pretty sure a student gets to be the tree too, but I don't hate your pick. I think it is an iconic mascot, certainly. What I do hate and what I don't like are the Ohio State fans that are also Notre Dame fans. I don't get it, man. I feel like it's like being an Alabama fan at the same time as being a fucking Georgia fan. It just doesn't make sense to me. So I'm not hating on your mascot pick. I'm hating on you being a Notre Dame fan.
But I'm not a Notre Dame fan. Don't get that twisted either. I went to a Catholic high school. So, growing up, you kind of have like that connection of liking the Catholic college that is like the face of Catholicism and higher education or whatever. Currently not a fan because, there's a lot of trash talking and they travel from everywhere and in terms of the fans and stuff. Not a Notre Dame fan, full blown Ohio State. But, there are a soft spot in my heart, I should say, for Notre Dame.
Yeah. There can be iconic mascots that you don't like. I said that too. I hate Notre Dame and the mascot. It's an iconic mascot. It doesn't mean you like it. There's a lot of teams like that. We could talk about fight songs and talk about colors and stuff. You know what I mean? Like there's all kinds of stuff. Like, the Michigan fight song is catchy and so is Notre Dame's. There's no denying that. I don't like either team, but stuff like that. So I'm with you. And Tim's popping up in the chat. He says another reason for me to hate you. I don't hate you. I love you for listening. And my mom's from Cincy. She's a Bengals fan and I like the Bengals too. So just shout out to Tim.
Yeah, we're all coming at each other. Me and Erik will gang up and go after John for liking the Bengals, and then me and John will gang up and go after the Yankees. Now, apparently, it's me and Notre Dame, so I'll gladly take Notre Dame over the Bengals and the Yankees any day of the week.
And it wasn't even you per se. I meet these fans in general. Like I'm friends with Buckeye fans that are also Notre Dame fans to the point where they have gear and they'll go to Notre Dame games. which I mean, I would go to one too. It's just, I don't know. It's weird to me to root for them as a team too. And their fan base, they're not as delusional as Michigan fans. But they're a little delusional. I mean, they haven't won jack shit, and they always are talking like they have.
Yeah.
So
the other thing I'll say is too, like, you can hate some teams and then they'll give you a reason to like them periodically. Like, on the whole, I hate Notre Dame for my whole life. But when they had Tyrone Willingham and Arnaz Battle and Vontez Duff and were a top 10 team for a few years, they were like fun. Like, I don't know. I didn't like them, but I hated them a lot less.
Well, can I give you guys my most unpopular opinion on At the Office ever?
Well, if you just pick it,
go ahead.
You just pick the tree as your favorite mascot. So
I was having
good luck
fun with
doing
that. It's probably worse than that. I'm sorry, Tim. Cover your ears, buddy. I hate Rudy. I hate that movie. I've never liked it. It's the worst. Like, this guy just getting on the field. Are you kidding me? I hate that movie.
That's it? That you just wanted to leave it at I hate that movie?
Yes, that's it.
Okay. I want to raise you a question real quick. I want to raise you a question real quick, Erik, with what you said, because you said, I know Ohio State fans that wear like Notre Dame gear. What about on St. Patty's Day? Is that allowed?
Ooh, tough question, but I would go no. If I asked you, is it okay to wear Celtics gear on St. Patrick's Day, would you say yes? I feel like it's the same answer. No.
Depends on the player and what time period it's from. But
you can get a green Ohio State jersey, I'm sure. I've seen the Cavs and Leprechaun or Four-Leaf Clover collab, like for St. Patrick's Day specifically. So you can wear things that are.
Grab, though.
I can settle this. I can settle this for you guys right now. Just buy a St. Vincent St. Mary LeBron jersey. Weren't they the Irish?
There you go.
They were, and I got rid of it.
Handshake on that one. Touche. Yeah,
you're welcome. And Erik, hey, return to normalcy, and the normal John and Erik see things eye to eye. I don't know if I hate it as much as you would say it's the worst of all time. Rudy is definitely overrated. Don't like it either. Watched it once, and that was one time too many.
And so does Tim. Tim also says Rudy is old. It's tiring to hear. So, here we are. We all hate. Right. I don't mind Rudy. I'm impartial. I just think it's a sports movie that I'll, turn on here and there.
I'd rather watch Remember the Titans.
For sure. It's not the best by any means. Yeah, no, it's not the best by any means. Guys, I want to ask you, veer back on topic a little bit. What are some other mascots that came to mind when you were thinking about this? One that came out to me was LSU, the Tigers. Like, go Tigers. Like, that's a meme, right? What else do you guys have in mind when it came to this topic?
Another team that I do not like at all, and again, I think they get overhyped, etc. Although I am excited for them to be in the Big Ten. Oregon, the Duck, is a pretty cool and iconic mascot, I gotta say.
That was another one for sure for me too.
Looks cool, just as prolific, I would say, as Brutus. When those two go at it, like the mascots in particular, it's always a lot of fun. So that would be probably high on my list. I do like the Georgia Bulldog, I will say. I know I kind of nix live mascots, but who doesn't like an English Bulldog? It's just cool, right? You mentioned the Boomer Sooner. I've never been a fan of that. I don't know what it is. I don't know. Just not a fan. Maybe it's the Southern Cowboy Indian kind of iconography that I can't get behind, but I've just never been a big fan.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of whatever Headley Corso puts on Saturday mornings. That's a big one, but
sad when that ends.
It is different conversation for different day, but there's Charles Barkley on TNT and there's College Game Day, and I go back and forth in my mind as the best two pregame shows in the business. But to answer your question, Noah, maybe not the most iconic mascot, but an iconic moment. Does anybody remember when the BYU Cougar hit the Millie Rock and was dancing with the entire dance team and went viral with 10 trillion views? You have a mascot who could break it down like that at halftime. I don't care if the Cougs are only relevant half the time and BYU isn't the powerhouse it used to be. Shout out Steve Young. That was an iconic moment. If you go to the YouTube video, there's, like I said, 100 million views. So it kind of speaks for itself.
One that comes to mind too, which is funny to me just because of the rivalry, right? And Erik made the joke about it is, you look at the Tar Heel and the Blue Devil too, just for that, the sole basketball rivalry. I mean, they're a rivalry and everything, but you know what I mean? It's the basketball rivalry of that. Those are two that kind of came to mind when I was thinking about this. Did anybody think, going towards rivalries? I know none of us would ever say anything Michigan, but I thought about rivalries too when I was, trying to pick what my number one option was going to be.
Well, I will say, even though Michigan doesn't really have a mascot, the commercial for College Game Day, the Heisman Trophy with the whole Wolverine and the boxing was a great commercial this past year. I do have to shout out, I love dogs in general, but I'm a UConn fan, so Jonathan the Husky, he's also my boy. He's pretty cool. But yeah, when it comes to rivalries, like, do you ever think of actual rivalries like with the mascots though?
I mean, I do personally because, this whole episode's inspired by NCAA Football 25 coming out on Monday. If you guys couldn't tell, I'm excited. The mascot mayhem mode back in the day when you could go against each other.
I forgot about that.
With the mascots, yeah, 100%. I was beating up Michigan with Brutus. Brutus was throwing dimes for me, man. No, but the mascot only goes so far. I don't know if I really think about like Brutus, and I know Michigan's mascot isn't really like a thing, but you know what I mean. I don't really think of it that way. What about you, John?
No, I think about the rivalries on the field. Every now and then a team, I got to be honest with you, the most iconic mascots and the best mascots out there are the teams we don't know about. Like, go to a D2 college football game and watch the, Jack Rabbit from South Dakota State beat up the Buffalo Baldwin Wallace had a yellow jacket that was awesome, but it's Baldwin Wallace, so we don't know. You know what I mean? I think the smaller the team and the lower the division, the more the kids who are in the uniforms care. That's where you see the shenanigans with them, like throwing down at halftime of football games and getting into fights in the tunnel and stuff. But
right.
No, when I think Ohio State, Michigan, I don't think mascot rivalry. I think of how bad I hate them because it's been 3 years since we won and I can't freaking stand it.
So, John, you were talking Baldwin Wallace real quick, and I know you're an alumni, but I gotta shout out my boys, the Worcester Scots, because this logo goes absolutely insane in my opinion. I love the Fighting Scot with the kilt on and the sword. Too bad that's not our logo anymore. Now we're a dog. But
wait, really?
That used to be they changed it because they didn't like that whole politically correct thing. Basically, is the reason they changed it.
They're okay. We won't go there, but okay.
Kind of looks like Milan in a kilt.
I'm here for it. Yeah. Great logo.
Was there an actual guy dressed up though as a Fighting Scot? Because that would be.
Let me see if I can find the old mascot because there was.
So what about?
There's a lot of. You're pulling that up too. There's a lot of stuff that like college like the Florida Seminole is one where I'm like, I don't know enough about the political correctness to talk about it, but a flaming arrow spiked at center field during a football game is freaking awesome too. I mean, that's fantastic, like a show. Right?
Yeah. I mean, we had like an actual mascot. There was someone that would walk around in a kilt, but I can't find a picture of it.
He looks Scottish too. I love it with the mustache. That's great.
It's fantastic. Gentlemen, is there anything else you want to talk about the best mascot before we move on to commercial break and then the worst mascot?
Yeah, I just want to bring up one point to what John had said about like smaller schools. I went to a smaller university too, and I'll say that I hate schools. We were the Cavaliers. I hate like that generic mascot, like Devil, Cavalier, whatever, where 10 different schools have it. That just irks me. Like I want a little more creativity. Like you don't hear the Fighting Scots anymore. That's cool as hell.
Yeah. Quick trivia question. Most used mascot in the United States of America? The tiger.
Oh, the tiger. Yeah. I got another trivia question for you before we go to break. What is the last Ohio-based school to not lose to the Ohio State Buckeyes?
What is the last? I'm going to say, I'll say OU.
John?
So I know this answer, but I don't know if it's I don't know if there's a tie. I think Oberlin was the last team from Ohio to beat the Buckeyes in like 1920.
Well, Oberlin might have been the last team to beat the Buckeyes, but do you want to know the last team to not lose to the Buckeyes?
So the tie.
The Worcester Fighting Scots tied them 13-13 before Ohio State went on to
1856.
It was like 1920.
Probably longer ago than that. I was gonna say the Buckeyes were too good in '56 for that to even have been true then. It's like
years ago, we damn near lost to, was it KSU or Akron? I don't remember. I remember it being way too close of a game for us paying them millions of dollars.
Yeah, there was a year under, I want to say it was under Tressel, where it was Marshall that's in West Virginia, but we needed Nugent to hit like a 52-yarder as time expired to beat Marshall at home in the season opener. But that's not Ohio.
You know what? We won, and you know who didn't win? Michigan against Appalachian State, and that will forever go down in history.
You know, you want to hear the year that happened real quick? I just found the statistic. 1924. 1924 is when that game happened, just so you know. So not 1902. Right, exactly. Gentlemen, let's cut to commercial break. We will come right back and then start talking about the worst mascot. And I'm going to lead us off to start that topic. So let's cut to commercial. I'll be right back. And we are back from commercial break. I hope you enjoyed those commercials. Again, just want to remind everybody, please subscribe to us. Follow us at the East Bank Sports Show, YouTube and Instagram. Make sure you follow all the Fanatical Elves on all the social channels. Make sure you check out all the other content we're creating here with the Fanatical Elves. Bunch of great guys over there. Sam, Jarrell, Lou, everybody. Always making different types of content that we all love to go listen to. I listen to my guys all the time. Catch me on one of Lou's shows soon, one of the Friday night editions, as soon as my schedule opens up a little bit. Got a lot of birthdays and parties and summer shenanigans going on. But gentlemen, I want to get back into it. I want to get into my take first, unfortunately, for both of you. Who is the worst college mascot of all time? And for our viewers at home, I'm just going to show an image to start. And that'll be my answer for the worst college mascot of all time.
Oh, come on.
Reused.
And I'm not...
Didn't have to go far for that.
I'm not even kidding. Worst, the first thing I wrote on my list was the Stanford tree. It is an ugly mascot. It is a nonsensical mascot. And I don't like it. It's terrible. Your backing of why it's the best of all time, don't agree with it all. Sorry, Eric, but
you have no joy in your life, my man. You got to bring back that childhood joy.
I have a lot more childhood joy than you, my friend. I guarantee it. The other one I listed, though, too, as well. Sorry, Eric, I didn't mean to come at you like that. The other one I had listed as well was the Rebel for Ole Miss before they made the change, because that was pretty bad in my opinion. But those are the two I listed. I wanted to hear what you guys had to say. Go ahead, Eric, because I feel bad now.
Quick plus one for you on the Reb. It's not a tough sell to say that a mascot based on like a Confederate soldier is probably not a good look. But anyway, go ahead, Eric.
That's actually a good segue because I feel like my pick is similar. I might get a lot of hate from this. My own father might not like this answer, but for me, the worst mascot, and there are a lot of bad ones, is the West Virginia Mountaineer. First of all, I want you to just listen to this description. I'm going to read you the description, all right? The mascot is known for wearing buckskins, a handmade coonskin cap and moccasins, a handmade powder horn, and an American-made black powder rifle. The buckskins are traditionally made from deer hide and tailored for each mascot. What in the backwoods deliverance ass shit is this? You want to talk about a mascot that is dreaming about the Civil War going the different way? Like, he is primed. Like, we know who the Mountaineer voted for last year or a couple years ago. I digress. It's not a great mascot. It's just weird. It looks weird. I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm a city kid, but not a fan.
Sean, go ahead.
Keeping it spicy, brother.
That was That was fantastic. I'm not gonna lie. Go
I'll
ahead,
sing
John.
"Take Me Home" with the best of them, but
Country Road. Oh yeah.
Oh,
good too.
Jesus. Here we go. Here we go.
All right. So Noah, everybody already said Stanford tree. That was my pick for mascot. I think it sucks too. It looks like a Christmas tree in stockings. It's dumb. We already talked about it. Eric likes it. God only knows why. It's the worst by far. And they're called the Cardinal, not even the Cardinals. For people who are supposed to be so goddamn smart, how did you screw up something so easy? The Cardinal have a tree, and they both suck. They both suck. So there's my take. We'll leave it there. I will say one other thing that came to mind, and it was a tie in my mind, but I went with Stanford because I actually have a mascot. One of the wonderful things about being a parent is watching your kids get into the same shit you do. And I am big into team uniforms. So when teams roll out, like the Chargers come out in powder blues, or the Cowboys come out in a throwback, or even the Steelers jailbird uniforms, there's some highs, there's some lows. But I pay way too much attention to uniforms and way too much attention to logos. And by far, the worst logo that I've ever seen is whatever the hell the green wave is at Tulane. They put that shit on everything. It looks like a moldy piece of pizza. There's foam on the top. It's a triangle. Why does the moldy piece of pizza have a mouth? And it's really unfortunate because that powder blue and emerald green was one of the most lit uniforms ever. And then you see the helmet, you're like, well, there it goes. Every single time there's a game on, they're playing, it's basketball, it's football, and my daughter sees, yeah, that's ridiculous. And it's got a megaphone for some goddamn reason. Every time my daughter sees this thing pop up on the screen, she's like, oh my God, the terrible uniforms are playing again. Like she's like, it must be Tulane. She knows Tulane, and maybe shout out to them because you got brand recognition with 11 and 12-year-olds. She knows Tulane more than anything other than Brutus because of how awful that logo is and how terrible it looks on a helmet. So
will you put that up one more time, Noah?
Yeah, I'll put it up again for you.
I just want to point out how the Tulane on the megaphone would also be upside down if they actually put the megaphone to their mouth. Just saying.
Bro, it's bad. It's bad.
Let me here's a history of the Tulane mascot real quick. I want to pull this up just because I think there's some better logos here that we could be using, right?
And the history, yeah, there's some stuff that wasn't as appalling. Whatever they had 6 years ago before they rolled that out, or 5 years ago, it hadn't been that long.
And in what you said again, okay. I like the Seabird one.
I like the Seabird one too. 1920 to 1924. They need to throw back that one. My favorite is probably the 2005 to 2014 variation.
Really? I like the left two, 20 to 24 and 98 to 2005.
Oh, I didn't even look at that one. That one's good too. I like 20 to 24 the most, I think, out of all of these.
So how about
I'd take any of them except 64 to 86 in the new one.
How about what you were saying, John, about the Stanford tree, but they're the Cardinals? How about the Crimson Tide and the elephant? How's that a tie-in together?
Oh, I'm not a huge fan of that either, but it's nowhere near as bad as a tree.
Okay.
There's no good deep analysis there. Like, what would you rather be? If somebody said, hey, we got new swag from Nike, we're going to put it in the college campus union, and you're going to go spend $82 on a Nike dry fit. Do you want that wave on your t-shirt or the Alabama A with an elephant? Like, it's an easy
for
choice.
Sure, the elephant. Yeah, for sure. But put the tree up one more time.
Oh, I just deleted it too. Hold on.
Oh, did you?
I'll put. No, you're good. I got it.
Leave it out.
Listen,
there you go.
I know that I more than anything just had fun with this and didn't really take it serious. But what I love about the tree mascot is some guys at Stanford said, hey, we're really busy solving the economic crisis because we're smart, but we kind of need a tree or a mascot. And somebody went in the arts and crafts room and threw that together. And there you go.
Yeah, so why wouldn't you do it better? Like my daughter, who is 4,
and look at the logo on the floor, by the way.
From preschool that looks better than that. They tore up 3 different colors of green construction paper and glued it. They didn't even give him enough leaves. You can see his stomach and his legs. It's just yeah.
So speaking of controversial things like that, how about the Oregon basketball court with the trees?
This is what you stand, Eric. I'm sorry.
That is not the Stanford mascot. I don't know what that is.
That came up third down on Google Images when I looked for it. I'm just letting you know. Go ahead.
Throw up the Stanford or the Oregon basketball court with the tree motif. I'm curious what you guys think of that.
Yeah, 3 of those people in that picture looked better than their actual mascot, by the way. Yeah, it's. I know what you're talking about. It looks like it's kind of camo around the edges. It's got brown in its. I didn't love that either. I didn't get to
hard
there's
to
some
see.
Yeah, so were all of the in-season tournament courts for the NBA. They were kind of cool,
awful.
but I watched the Pacers game. I literally had I had to adjust my television during the Pacers game because like my eyes hurt.
Is this the court we were talking about?
That's one variation, yeah, but they keep doing things like that.
They have
I don't know how I feel about that one either.
I will, before we move on to the next topic, I will just formally apologize that I did not take this topic seriously at all. So apologies. Next time I will be better prepared. But I had plans after work today and didn't have time to prepare best mascot, so I just kind of threw it together.
Fair enough,
and
gentlemen.
I get a D- on the.
I'll give you a D. I'll give you a D+. I'll give you some extra credit there for the effort of trying to sell the Stanford tree as a good mascot. I'll give you credit for the effort at least.
I need to work on it. Clearly, we work in advertising, and I tell you, I could normally sell anything, but the Stanford tree is a hard sell, especially with you gentlemen.
If you gave me 60 seconds and a box of crayons, I could have 4 mock-ups that are better than that.
Okay, so
you know what? Like our many bets, I don't know that that's true.
Wait. We're gonna do something live right now, John. You have daughters. Do you have crayons in the house?
Money where your mouth is, baby.
Do you have crayons in the house? Are there crayons in your house?
4 kids. He has crayons for sure.
I know I got markers and colored pencils.
So go ahead and go grab your markers and your colored pencils. Me and Eric will be here for a second. I'm so serious right now.
I'm going.
Grab a piece of computer paper, and then I'll let the timer run 2 times while me and Eric sit here.
This is Eric, my favorite segment ever.
This is fantastic. I'm going to drop the bug for a second. Eric, I'm trying to think of something else we can fill some time with. I'm looking at some mock-ups over here real quick of like other colleges doing that the around border, kind of like Oregon was doing. And some of them are kind of cool. Like this Colorado one, it has like rock formations all around it for the mountains. I thought that one was kind of cool. Let me see here. What would Ohio State's be? Just a big Buckeye in the middle, I guess.
I don't know. It could be cool with a Buckeye in the middle. Maybe some of the Brutus relief. I'm so excited as a creative strategist and director to tear this apart when you're done. Let's go.
Timer on the clock.
I already drew it. I drew 2.
Draw a better one.
This is better. At least it's blue and it has leaves and the legs are covered. Hold on. I drew a second one just for you, Eric.
It looks like a messed up BoJack Horseman. Oh.
So for those who are listening to the audio, it is a poorly drawn picture, first of a tree with just like a smiley face cut out of it, but it does have like some coverage on the legs. The second picture, however, is just a middle finger of a really fat hand. The hand is long and short.
Fair play. Yeah, it was like a hand with gout, but fair play to you.
Hand with gout is
it only
crazy.
took 45 seconds. I could do a third.
Gentlemen, let's move on to our final topic. That was fantastic. I am going to clip that for TikTok later. You better believe that. Let's wrap this up. We inspired this whole episode because honestly, I'm just excited for the college football video game, as I've mentioned plethora of times in this episode. Sorry, it's probably getting annoying at this point, but I'm excited for it.
The new mustard.
Okay. It is the new mustard. Mustard is a cheater and hasn't won a single race since it got revoked, by the way.
Ketchup cheated when we were there the other night, though. I'm just going to say.
Did he? I didn't notice. Oh, when he went around?
He ran through the stadium, through the walls, but that's okay.
So did Mustard jumped offside. Anyway, I digress. What is the best sports video game? Oh, okay. What is the best sports video game of all time is our final topic today here at the office. I led off. Eric's led off. John, you haven't got to lead off since 30-second take. So, John, go ahead. Start us off. What is your favorite? What is the best sports video game of all time, in your humble opinion?
Yeah, my humble opinion. This is one of my more favorite questions. Because yes, we're in the doldrums of summer, and we're talking about all these other things. Because all we have is baseball, and we're heading into All-Star break. But I kind of grew up in quote unquote the video game era. I had an original Nintendo and like an Atari ColecoVision kind of setup at one point. I've also have an Xbox upstairs right now. So like as video games grew, so did I. So I want to give a shout out to some oldies but goodies. These aren't the best, but tell me Mike Tyson knockout, Mario Tennis, and NBA Jam weren't amazing in their time, right? NHL 98, MLB The Show, NFL Blitz, great arcade football game.
Blitz, yeah.
Tony Hawk and Cool Borders. As we moved into like Dreamcast and some of the new stuff, NBA 2K1 was dope. Going all the way back to the original Tecmo Bowl and Super Tecmo Bowl. I mean, I'll still kill you with the Browns or the Giants or the Bears in that game, unless you have Bo Jackson. But yeah, there were too many to pick from. So I narrowed it down to my favorites, the ones that are played most often, that are most popular, that are the best gameplay, right? There's an element of a sports game being, can somebody who usually plays like Zelda or RPG game come in and play this game and still have a little bit of fun without knowing the sport? And it's 3 for me. FIFA, any year, usually the latest year. It's just a great online, personal, creative player. So much fun. Tiger Woods golf. I started with the first one, build my own golfer, dominating the tour, and now that thing has exploded. And then obviously we're here talking about NCAA football. I throw Madden into the mix because for a long time when I was in college, they were the same game. Similar game. They've broken the brands out, which I think is awesome because the gameplay in this 2025 version looks fantastic. It's cliche. That's why I gave you so many other examples, but hands down over the years, if I could only have one game, and that's not even sports game, if I could only have one video game every year, it's got to be the new Madden.
That's crazy because Madden is a terrible franchise in my opinion, even though I buy it every year, so I can't really speak to it.
It's not as good as it used to be. It's not as good as it used to be, but if we're talking most, the best of all time, I mean, they had a run there where it was Madden or nothing, and it was a long run.
Erik, go ahead. Erik, go ahead. I'm not going to cut you off. I already said Erik, go ahead. So, Erik, go ahead. Best sports video game of all time.
John, you were so close and you let it slip between your fingers. So when Noah first asked me this question in the office when he was sending topics to us, my initial thought was NCAA football because I just remember playing that so much as a kid growing up. My buddy Zane would bring his console on vacation and we'd play it there. Fights were started over it. I was way more of the NCAA football than I was Madden for sure. Although shout out to a kid I went to high school with, Matt Juan, who I swear to God, he'd beat literally anybody in Madden. And I'm talking like beat the brakes off. Like we'd play one quarter each against him because that's how good he was. That said, for me, the best video game of all time and the one that I have the most fun with is FIFA for sure. So the way I did it, and when I had a roommate and, when you're younger, living with some guys, we would do the random pick of a team. So if we're doing national teams, for example, we'd randomize it 3 times and you get to choose from those 3 picks. Sometimes you get nothing but shit. Sometimes it's really good. I have a note still in my phone. We had played at that point 66 games and we kept track of every win and every loss against one another. And that's just, I think, the competitiveness in me. I will say with the skins, I don't know if they're illegal, but the skins that you download separately, I do think that what is it? PES is actually better than FIFA. The gameplay is a little better and the graphics are a little better. But obviously the branding of FIFA with every single team and not having to go out of the way. I think I literally bought a PlayStation because you could only mod it on PlayStation, not Xbox kind of situation for PES. Not worth it at the end of the day. But yeah, the soccer ones, I'm a huge Chelsea fan. I think that is a part of it, but for me, it's a FIFA or a soccer type game.
So for me, I went granular here. I picked specific games, so like game year, basically. So like, for example, like if I thought for some reason, like John does, Madden 24 is, the best of all time or whatever, I would say that. So I have 3 answers here, right? 2 tied to me, 1 tied to, just my opinion being a video game player in my age, grew up playing, play PS2, PS3, PS4, PS5. Game number 3 for me, and it's more of like a mention. Sorry, guys, had to date you at least once this episode.
I was like, how do you start with you start with the PS2? That is wild. But anyway, keep going.
NCAA 14, the last college football game to come out. The community around that game has been insane ever since they stopped making the games. We're finally getting that community back, all on servers, all creating a bunch of crazy shit, and I'm really excited for it, but I don't think you can talk about sports video games without mentioning NCAA 14. Number 2 is a personal home hitter for me, Madden 09. Now, Madden 08 is normally listed for anybody listening who's really into video games as one of the best Maddens of all time. I'm Madden 09. It was the first Madden game I ever played. Played as in like owned, not played at like a friend's house or something like that. I played Madden before that, but like in terms of owning a Madden, it was Madden 09. Loved that game. Was the worst running back in the history of the Browns franchise because I didn't know how to play the game very well, but I was the running back for the Browns, and I will always, forever, have a special place in my heart for that video game. But number 1 is the most formative video game in my time, which is going to date all of you. NBA 2K15. The community, creators, the amount of time I put in playing Park with my friends during that time period, the amount of fairness where it wasn't just blow $150 on VC to be good. You still could do that, don't get me wrong, but it wasn't nearly as bad as it is now with any of the 2K games. That game will always have a special place in my heart. We would literally all bring our PlayStations over to one kid's house and set up TVs in the corners and stuff and play Park together on his Wi-Fi so we could do the call outs in real time as opposed to like the delay over the headsets on our PS4s and Xbox Ones, I think we were actually on at that time, but I digress. Fan of that game all over. Sorry that it's, not even, I guess it's 10 years old now from 2014, but yeah, those are my 3 picks. Gentlemen, what are your other thoughts? Anything else you want to add here in terms of the video game talk?
Well, first of all, yes, you make us very sad that you're like starting at an Xbox 360 in life, but first of all, I've never been a big 2K fan, and I think that's just because I've never been very good at it. And I think that's mainly because I never really had friends that played it, so I didn't play it enough to become good at it. I will say that I'm curious what your guys' what makes you go out and buy a game immediately or play immediately. Like for me, it's the Grand Theft Autos, sometimes the Call of Duties. My one buddy and I will get online and with the headsets and the whole thing and team up. It's just fun kind of guys hanging out like we do on the show here. But the game that lives rent-free in my head, Hitman's another one that I've always enjoyed when it comes out. The game by far, and I don't know why, but that has lived rent-free in my head for years now. So my parents were a little anti-video game. So when PS1 was a thing, I was rocking a Sega Genesis because they're like, you don't need video games kind of situation. And on that Sega Genesis was a game, Noah, you might not even know it, but John definitely will, called Pitfall. You start off and hear that Jaguar go, row, row, row. And then I freaking like that game is so high in my just history of games. I know it's not sports unless vine swinging you count.
Good one.
But I love that freaking game, and I'm afraid to play it. Like I know there's some emulators these days that have it. I'm afraid that it won't hold up, and I don't want to go back to it.
It's kind of like used cars. You got to go back far enough that they're vintage and not just to like the old ones. Like if you buy a Mustang, you either want to get a brand new Mustang Boss or something like in the last, 5 years, or you want to get one from like the 70s. Like it's not cool yet. It might never be cool to have like the Vanilla Ice 1990s Mustang, right? I feel like it's the same thing with video games. You play the original Super Mario Brothers on Nintendo, it holds up. You play the stuff from your childhood that you thought was cool, and it is just bad graphics and a bad time. But it was cool at the time. But no, to answer your question, Noah, too, I go with what my girls can play with me. So it's usually not a sports game, even though for me personally, it would be like the new sport. Like I'm going to get the college football for sure. Last games that we played start to finish and just couldn't put down the controller. Star Wars: The Last Jedi was amazing, and got the Harry Potter game. Didn't finish it, but we burned through a ton of it really fast when we first got it too. So open world, kind of explore, build a character, learn your craft and skills kind of stuff. And then we have a Nintendo Switch and an Xbox where you can split screen. So me and my middle two girls play trios on Fortnite. And you talk about a proud dad moment is like victory royale with your two daughters who you taught to play who are now better than you. I could sit down with them and kill 3 hours on Fortnite, no problem.
So there's a couple things I want to put in here, right? First of all, you guys said it was crazy that I started out around Xbox 360. I was 5 years old when the Xbox 360 came out.
Oh my
so
God.
You guys know. Number two, you asked what kind of video games, get me to go purchase them. First of all, I still play video games almost daily. I feel like I've just been taking a break because I know how much I'm going to be sitting in this chair next week come release for NCAA football. It's the big sports games for me. I won't buy 2K right away just because I know I can get it for $30 with some good bonuses around Christmas. MLB typically I'll buy right away. Madden typically I'll buy right away. Because I always just sit and play Madden with like YouTube on in the background and, learn something new while I play some video games or something like that, or listen to some stories, whatever, listen to audiobooks sometimes. So those type of games. And then it's got to be things in my interest realm for me too, right? John, you mentioned Star Wars, Jedi Survivor and all of that. Those games, I'm a huge Star Wars nerd, whatever you want to call it. So those games really do it for me. I'm a PlayStation player, so the Spider-Man series on PlayStation is absolutely phenomenal. It is one of the best game series I've ever played, and I will drop everything to play that game series as well. So it just kind of depends what's going on, in terms of games that are high. If I just bought something, I'm not inclined to buy something right away, right again. The only reason I'll probably get Madden and NCAA back to back is because they have like a bundle deal for it this year. And I'll probably
video
do
games
that.
Are one of those things, man. They are. Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to put you off. I thought you were.
No, you're good.
It's one of those things. I met with my buddies. One's a Celtics fan, a Cavs fan. We were watching some basketball at a bar. Somebody said, "What's your favorite video game of all time?" And an hour and a half later, we hadn't even agreed on what constituted what genres and what era started and ended it, let alone what the best game was. I played a game called Inside during the pandemic with my wife. It was $8. You're a dude trapped in an insane asylum, and you got to figure out what's going on while trying to escape. It's pure puzzles. The only thing you can do is walk and jump. And we played it 3 hours. Right? It's what?
Wasn't it through Apple Arcade?
It might have been, but it was like $7.99.
So yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, played 5 hours a night for a week straight until we beat it or whatever it took, and we just couldn't get enough.
I could talk video games for days. Another game that just popped in my mind, I doubt either of you have ever played it, but one of the best sports video games to come out in recent memory for me is called Retro Bowl. Have either of you guys ever played Retro Bowl?
Heard of it, but never played it.
So it's kind of phone? Yeah, it's in the style of like your old like techno bowls, right? But it's the same thing. It's not the official Cleveland Browns. It's Cleveland and all of Cleveland's colors. And now they have the college version too. It's fantastic. I have sat and burnt. Yes. 100%. Fantastic.
Not only do I know what you're talking about, the Browns are 4-1 and atop the division last time I played.
Yeah, the Worcester Fighting Scots won the national championship in FCS and then moved up to FBS for me the last time I played college, and that's the last time I've touched it. One other game shout out, Erik, you already mentioned it, but Grand Theft Auto 5 came out at a time in my life when I was 13. And we played the absolute living hell out of that, and then all transitioned to playing the absolute living hell out of online together. So that game is my favorite game of all time. So as soon as GTA 6 comes out, I will 100% be taking, a PTO day or two to no life the hell out of it.
Forever. We didn't even touch on computer games, Doom and Duke Nukem before they had big time gaming. Like there's so many.
Or what about well, first of all, I gotta shout out Skyrim. I swear to God, I've bought it like 6 times for different consoles and never beat the stupid thing. I love the open world in general, but how about let's take it a little more old school. Classic pinball on the PC that just came with Microsoft that you'd play a ton in school. Played that thing so much.
Minesweeper.
Oh, here we go. All right, gentlemen, I'm going to reel us back in now. Blackjack. Gentlemen, let's go into final thoughts and takes. Final thoughts and takes, it can be anything, everything. Hot, spicy, warm, lukewarm, cold, whatever. Erik, this is your favorite topic. Go ahead.
First of all, I like Tim shouting out, asking if you're old enough to drink, Noah.
Yes, I am.
It made me laugh. But when I was putting together my notes, my brief notes for today's show, when I got to the hot take part of my, standardized setup, I guess, form, whatever, something just popped right into my head and I ran with it. And that is that closers, as in closing pitchers in baseball, are completely overrated and overpaid. Hear me out. It's one of those rare positions where they literally come in for 1 inning. They're paid buku bucks. A lot of the times they just blow it. And they don't do anything more special, in my opinion, than what a lot of the guys in the bullpen could do for you. So I like Class A, don't get me wrong. And I like having a strong closer. I like the idea of it. It feels like you're handing the game over to the guy that's going to just finish it up. He's going to wrap it up for you. That's it, right? When Mo Rivera was coming out, you had no chance for the most part. But that said, you're also handing it over to one single guy. And based on the fluctuations of him and his night and whether or not he's on or off, he's pitching 1 inning. He could get blown up, or you already have a 2-3 run lead. It's very unlikely that they're going to tie it or take the lead. I just feel like it's something that we put an emphasis on that particular role player that your bullpen could fulfill no problem. Take our bullpen, for example. If we went right to the 9th and never brought in Class A, I think we'd be just fine. So it's just one of those weird roles that over time, and some of them, I mean, the highest paid ones, they get paid so much money that you could reinvest elsewhere. You could maybe get the Guardians a shortstop with some of that money, or another starting pitcher that we could use. I just think it's an overrated position in baseball.
We can talk about this on a later date because I disagree to an extent with you. But John, go ahead with your final thought and hot take.
Yeah, no, that reminds me of I think I had a hot take at one point. I was on a Yankees bender and I said Mariano Rivera is the most overrated person in Yankees history and MLB history. So I think we're related there. I don't hate that take. My take is college football related. And I think I am ready to announce the beginning of the end of a dynasty. I don't see how Alabama football maintains the level of competitiveness they've had without Nick Saban. I don't expect them to tank this year, but in an SEC that is so competitive now, that added all these teams, you got to play Texas and Texas A&M in addition to LSU's and Georgia's. I think they're going to have a fall from grace. But I think to their benefit, they're still going to be around, because while in the old days you had to be either the number 1 or 2 team, or you had to be a top 4 team to make the college football playoff, at the same time that I think they're going to have a fall from grace, I also think that as long as they don't lose 4 games in a season, that they're probably still going to be one of the top 12 ranked at the end of the year. So they'll still get into the playoffs. But I think they're going to lose an edge. And I think a lot of programs struggle with this, even if they find it again. You'll see it at Michigan post Harbaugh. You'll see it at Alabama post Saban. Not that we had a fall from grace, but, Ryan Day, since Urban Meyer left, hasn't exactly beaten Michigan every year and won a bunch of national championships either. I just think it's really, really tough when you're ingrained in a program to rip and replace. And Alabama isn't like Ohio State or Notre Dame or USC where you have the brand and the team. Alabama's been historically good, but that team has also been bad. And I think if they're not careful in the age of NIL with recruiting as competitive as it is in super conferences, that Alabama could be in for a rude awakening, if not this year, certainly next year.
Right. So I'm going to go light and simple. I don't disagree with anything you said, John, whatsoever. I'm going light and simple, and I'm keeping it very on topic for, the theming of this episode, how I saw it. We're going back to sports video games for a second. I think NCAA 25 college football is only going to help to make the Madden franchise better. I think it has been stale. I think it has been repetitive for too many years now. And I think because of the amount of hype and everything that they've generated with college football, it's kind of pushing them to have to do what they have been needing to do with Madden, like custom teams and, more in-depth, maybe historical rosters and stuff like that, as opposed to it just being in a paywall for Ultimate Team. Some of the other stuff that they could really be working on to move forward and make the game worth the $70 price tag you pay every year for a different cover athlete and, some new uniforms or new branding if, some team decides to change something. You know what I mean? Gentlemen, anything else you want to touch on before we wrap this thing up?
No, I think you're good. I agree with John's take about Alabama, but I think that fall off is going to be even more rapid than he says. I think it's going to be pretty quick. When we talked about coaches and some of Noah's bad takes on coaches, one of the most important aspects of being a football coach is being that leader of men, being that Al Pacino in the locker room presence. Shout out Any Given Sunday. And I think, yes, the Alabama football team, they play for the guys in the trenches next to them, but who's getting the most out of that is Saban. And you bet your ass they're playing out of respect and out of fear for that guy. And when he's not there, I think that fall off is steep, man. And I'm here for it. I can't wait.
Cats away, the mice will play. Yeah, and the only thing I'd say is to agree with both of you. I name Madden as the best because I think it's the best from its first game to its last game across the years. Definitely stale. Didn't need to buy it any of the last 3 years, that's for sure. Probably longer. So I agree. I still think it's the most iconic and best of all time overall, but not 2024.
Fair enough, gentlemen. Well, it's been a pleasure talking to both of you. It's been a pleasure hanging out with Tim in the chat. And it's been a pleasure doing another episode here at the office. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, do all of that. It helps us grow the channel, helps us grow the podcast. Make sure you hit the download button wherever you watch. Make sure you check out all the other content here at the Fans First Sports Network and on the Fanatical Elves. And until next time, Cleveland, have a great week.